something that I had to actually quit this year for 2020 because I started off like I don't know what happened. I used to be a heavy coffee drinker, and then as soon as the new year started, my body's like, nah, you can't have caffeine. So every time I drink like a dark cup of coffee, even like
Oof.
boba tea, the like
Oh
my
no.
body's like no, and then I puke, and I'm like, oh my god.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
tragic.
yeah, I don't know what happened, but other than that, I can still enjoy my tea.
Well, that's good at least. I
Okay.
don't know. I've been drinking coffee like water these days because final year of college. Yay.
Oh, nice. Well, congratulations, almost there. Home stretch.
Almost there, but that's where the suffering happens. So, well,
The the what? The suffering.
yeah.
Okay. If I'm good to go, are you good to go?
Yeah, pretty good to go. Yep. Let me just. All right, here we go.
Okay, sweet. So hey guys, welcome to another special episode with a very special guest on TreeBark. His name is Shirokoi, and I'm very happy to have him on. Could you, I don't know, just tell me a brief bit about yourself?
Hello. I'm Shirokoi. I'm a furry artist slash writer slash game developer. I don't know. The thing I'm known for is I developed this visual novel, furry visual novel called Repeat, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Right on. So that's what really like caught my eye a couple months back when I was following your work. I really like did writing start off as the art for you that you got into, or was like illustration something that you were into before?
So my start on the internet started on fanfiction.net. I wrote like a shit ton of fanfiction as a kid,
Uh-huh.
and after a while, I found DeviantArt, and I was like, oh wait, this is like fanfiction but for art. So I started drawing really shittily. But then after a while, I got better and I got more into art than writing, and I transitioned into more of an artist. But
Oh,
writing's more of a side thing for me these days.
oh,
But
so
it's
you
still
started off with like some fantasy novels or something. Like what's some of your fanfics? What
uh
did you cover?
my fan fiction account is now buried and will not be found. Boy,
Was it
they
stuff
were
from like
bad.
Pokemon or
Oh yeah, I wrote like a shit ton of Pokemon fan fiction. Like I had this 90-page fan fiction for like uh it was fun, but looking back, they weren't good.
oh
It's
yeah.
kind of like as an artist, you look back on your work from 10 years ago, and you're just like, ugh, I want to strangle myself.
Like everyone's got their, their start somewhere. So, like, was it like the intonation where it's like, okay, I'm drafting some stories, and I want to like kind of illustrate this. I want to show people like exactly what I'm depicting in my visual novel. Like,
Yeah,
how
yeah.
did that bleed into there?
So first, I started writing fan fiction, and then I was like, oh, what if I made like a comic that follows the story of my fan fiction? So I
Mm-hmm.
did that for like 20 pages or so, but then uh, I got um, just basic life stuff got in the way. I got too busy, so that kind of dropped off, and I stopped writing for a while. But
Yeah.
then it's, I just drawing became my new writing. Like back in the day, I would just write to relax, but now it's become more of an art thing.
Oh, okay.
I don't word good, as you can clearly see.
No, it's no problem. Um, I mean, yeah, I don't want to like interrogate you too hard or anything, but I just really want to get to know like how you get into kind of the flow of things. Because for me, I recently started kind of like this big project for myself, which was like from my regular day-to-day commissions. I want to like hunker down and focus on comics, something more like long form. And like, what was that kind of jump for you? Did you always? I mean, by the sound of it, it sounds like you were always kind of writing stories. So like, did comics kind of naturally occur before the visual novel?
Yeah. So the vision novel came up as a way to make a comic, but have to draw less.
Oh, okay.
uh, yeah, because yes, visual novels you just have sprites, background, and you can change them up as per story. But like comics, you have to draw every single scene, every page, every like. a lot more asset creation. So the visual novel was kind of like a compromise to please my story writing side while not
Yeah.
murdering my work schedule. It still did in the end, but it's a lot less.
Because you're creating so many assets, and I know a little bit about that from like game dev stuff, and I actually do have some applications like Visual Novel Maker on my PC, but like how much like is it of like a dedication to make all of the characters, and you have to make the different expressions and everything too, and from the environments, is that all from scratch for you?
Yeah, yeah. I draw all my characters from scratch. The backgrounds I kind of Photoshop from photos.
Oh,
I
okay.
just apply like a
Photo
filter to
bash.
them
Nice.
because I don't background good. Whoops.
Yeah, that's really intimidating. Me too.
Yeah, yeah. So usually I want to start off with like a good idea of what the story is gonna be.
Hmm.
One regret I have with writing Repeat, my visual novel, is that I started the story like really large scale. So I've been working on it for the past 5 years or so, and the story is just so big, especially for my first visual novel. If I
Hmm.
had to redo it from the beginning, I would definitely scale it down to something like doable for one person. Um,
Is this more like a mature version of like what you envisioned from the get-go from like your earlier works, or is it just like gun ho, I'm gonna try everything I can?
uh, so um, when I first started, I was really ambitious and I had this big old story planned out.
Hmm.
But then, as the more I do it, the more I realize, like, oh, this is gonna take me like 10 years to finish. So right now, I feel a little. I still love the story to bits, but it's big, and it's easy to burn out on something that you've been working on nonstop for the last 5 years.
Yeah, it's
So
really ambitious, but hey, like congratulations. Like I'm glad you made it this far too. Um for for your Patreon I noticed too, like you do try to put out a lot of work so that you can show your patrons what you're working on and stuff. How has that been for managing you? Because I also just recently started a Patreon, and I'm trying to figure out all of like the different ways that I can manage my time, set up perks and etc. How did you manage that over the past couple of years?
honestly, to be perfectly honest, I haven't been the best Patreon manager. I'm definitely not a good community manager, but my patrons are really patient with me, which I'm very grateful for.
Yeah.
Um, so I always think that clear and regular communication is something to strive for. Like, hey, if you're slacking, or not slacking, but like you're having trouble uh, scheduling wise, a lot of real life stuff is in the way. Like, you tell them, give them a heads up. It's better than like months of non-communication, you know?
Yeah, just like
And
let
then
them know like, hey, I'm busy, or like something really important came up and I just have to just pause for a bit.
yeah, most of them are really understanding about that, and of course, some will drop off Patreon. But I've noticed a lot of times, if you, in the long term, if you show that, hey, I really am dedicated to this project and it is a work of passion for me, they will like come back,
Yeah, for
which I
sure.
also really appreciate. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's the one thing that like I was kind of like talking to a little bit with my other friends about, where it's like for doing the one-off commissions like I was doing before when I first started, like, oh, I'm a furry artist, and like the community is super helpful, and I'm really glad to have like people that want to support me. So jumping from just like one single character ref commission or illustration to like, hey, I'm gonna start this big project, and would you like to support me for the month? And seeing like the patronage for like, whatever the tier is, like from $3, $1, or whatever. Like, I don't know. For some reason, like seeing the long term investment, it's like, wow, they like you're in it for the long run for me, and that like makes me so happy.
Yeah, especially those folks who like comment on everything you do. It's just like, you guys give me life.
Yeah, no, like beyond the likes or retweets, I gotta be honest, the comments are like what I look forward to the most.
Hmm.
Because it's like
Except
actual
for the
feed. Oh, what is that?
except except for the ones that are like like, hey, where's my content?
Oh, God.
uh yeah, I'm like, I'm working on it, dude, please.
Yeah,
But I
and
still love them. They like my work. I appreciate it, but I'm also like, oh, the pressure.
I mean, like, yeah, that's good that there's demand, and I think like what you said before though about as long as you're transparent, a lot of the good people that you at least want to be around, they're really understanding.
Yeah. For for the most part, everyone I've met on Patreon and beyond have been super encouraging. So kudos to them for having patience with me.
Nice. Could you talk a little bit? I know you mentioned Pokemon and stuff you did fanfic for, but could you allude to a little bit of like, were there any specific mangas or story inspirations that you look up to?
The thing that really started my whole creative craze was have you ever read the Pokemon Adventures manga
Pokemon Adventures. I think
or Pokemon Special?
I think growing up, was that like from like the first generation on that they started a manga, or is that something
Yeah,
new?
yeah. It's pretty old. There was like a red, blue, green
Oh,
version.
okay. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think I seen that in the library growing up.
yeah, yeah. They are so well written. Oh my God. Like they really take the story of Pokemon and then like put it into one coherent, really well defined storyline. Like all the NPCs are in on it and like
Yeah.
they just define the world so well that that really like drove my creative juices back in the day. Like
Oh.
I based my fan fictions and all my writing off of Pokemon because like they do a lot of good plot twists and pacing really well.
Does it
Um,
does it coincide with the anime in any way, or is it its own separate thing?
oh hell no, the characters actually age. Look at
I
you,
didn't know
Ash.
that. So
Yeah,
Ash
like
isn't 10 forever.
yeah, he's been 10 forever. Meanwhile, like Red has been aging throughout like each arc, and it's great. I love him.
Actual
um,
development. Yeah.
yeah, like actual character development, and like each character embodies a theme. They've got their own backstory. Like their names aren't very creative though. So like the you know the main character. Okay, how do I say this?
Red or
Red, blue, green. Those are
yeah.
the three main characters of the first arc.
Yes.
Yes. There, I would highly recommend. Most of the manga is online these days, so I would highly recommend you check them out if you're a Pokemon fan because they're so good.
Okay.
All right, yep.
Are you big into the what is that other game? I have a lot of friends that are really into Mystery Dungeon, and that's what kind of kicked off their like Pokesonas and stuff. Are you a fan of
Oh
those?
yeah, oh yeah. I was one of those kids who were emotionally traumatized by the first Pokemon
What?
Mystery Dungeon.
What happened?
It's just sad. Like the first couple of Mystery Dungeon games, the writing's like really good. So yeah,
Okay.
and like you play as a Pokemon, right? I guess I should say Pokemon's what dragged me into like the furry fandom. Like I drew in the beginning, I drew a lot of human art and a lot of Pokemon art, and then
Hmm.
eventually I was like, oh, people like my Pokemon art a lot more. All right, I'll draw more Pokemon. And then eventually it was like, oh, these people are drawing animal people, kind of like Pokemon. Huh, I'll try that. And
And
then it
then
was downhill from there.
and then did you take I fondly remember like when I first got like my DS Lite and I had the Mystery Dungeon. I forget what it was called. It was like the blue team or something. I forget.
Oh
Um
yeah,
blue.
blue rescue
Yeah.
team. Yeah.
And then you could take this personality test and it'll like match you up with a Pokemon and then like you sort of like TF or you transform into that thing. I was like,
That's
"Oh,
how the kickstart.
exactly." It's like, "Okay, I'm hooked."
Yeah.
So oh, okay. Oh no, sorry, go on.
No, no, I don't word good. Go ahead. What?
No, so beyond Pokemon though, like was that solely what drove you or did you dip into other things or did you see other furry creators actually when you I guess yeah, got you said that that's what brought you into the furry fandom.
So let's see. Uh, so what did get me into the furry fandom? I remember it was during my Tumblr days. There were a lot of you know you naturally run into some not safe for work furry art here and there.
Yeah, there's a
And
lot
I
of
guess
lewd.
yeah, there's a lot of loot. It's good loot. I guess I ran into some. I was like, oh, this is making me feel things. So I started drawing lewd art myself, and
Hmm.
yeah, that's pretty much how I got started.
Posting it
There
and
were
sharing it on DeviantArt or what
oh god,
sites
not
what
DeviantArt.
oh no, what sites were you on at the time?
So I transferred at that point mostly from DeviantArt onto Tumblr, and
Mm.
that was pretty good. And then it was from Tumblr onto Twitter, and then Tumblr died, so it's
Yeah,
mostly
the
Twitter for me these days.
whole Tumblr filter apocalypse. Oh God.
Yeah, which didn't work, by the way. I logged in the other day, and there was like, oh, there's beefy men fucking on my timeline. What the hell?
Oh wait, it's still. Oh, I didn't. Oh, okay, I deleted my account since then. It's been like I think almost a year already.
The moment I logged back in, there was like beefy men everywhere. I was like, okay, this worked well. Was it
I'm gonna.
worth it, Tumblr? Huh? Huh?
I'm gonna. I'm gonna have to open up my account again. Nice. Okay, so oh, so it was from you said Tumblr that died to Twitter, and then from Twitter has that been your main platform?
Yeah, Twitter and Fur Affinity, but mostly Twitter
Okay.
these days.
Yeah, I find
Fur
Twitter's like
Affinity.
it's really mainstream and kind of like simple to use.
Hmm. Yeah, and like there's a lot. It's a lot easier to see comments and interact with people, which is nice.
Yeah, I
And I
keep I keep telling more and more furries too. It's like, oh, just hop on Twitter, and then they do, and then they're hooked.
Mm. Yeah, and I think the thing I like about Twitter is that you can say like the stupidest shit and it'll still be good. Like on other sites like for Affinity, you're not gonna make a journal and be like, yo, uh it's 4 a.m. and I'm like licking spices in the kitchen right now. Like
It's kind
but
of
on Twitter
dank,
it's
yeah.
perfectly fine.
That's just the nomenclature.
Yep. Like
What's
perfect shit
the?
posting.
Oh, I guess yeah, that's what it is. I hate it when like I shit post something and it gets like the most likes, and then like this really hard like commission that I worked on for like 3 days straight just
Oh,
doesn't match it. I'm like, what the hell?
oh, yeah, like I noticed in the beginning, most of my like art gets fallen to the wayside, and then like my shit posty doodles just like get so many views. I'm like, just like,
It's like
but
great.
why?
That's what I'm gonna be known for.
This is my life now.
Exactly. Okay, so talking a little bit because like I'm sort of getting into this wheelhouse now for developing some characters. How do you go in about? I guess no, we could actually back it up a little bit further for like uh since you're familiar with stories and illustration and basically comic formats, like I've been trying to wrap my head around like introduction, conflict, resolution, and conclusion. So for your visual novel, do you have this all set up as a guideline, or how have you been kind of like figuring it out as you've been going on?
So writing for comics and writing for visual novels is a little different because writing for visual novels, you have a lot more leeway to like add stuff, whereas in comics you gotta draw a shit ton, so you gotta be way more efficient. But for
Mm-hmm.
my characters in my visual novel, I kind of start with their like I want to focus on the character's starting points. For example, like one of my characters, Sissel, from my visual novel, he starts off as really insecure. He was raised on the streets. He's poor. Like he starts off with a lot of self-esteem issues. That's his starting
Mm-hmm.
point. And then I focus on his end point. What should he grow into? Like a confident, like young man with goals and aspirations, and like the confidence to face people with criticism. That's and like learn to love himself. That's the end goal. So
Okay.
that's the start goal, end goal, and then I write around that like what arc, what events does he need to go through, and hardships does he need to go through to get to that end goal. And yeah, that's generally how my stories end up playing out.
Oh, that's pretty interesting because for me it's been like I think back when you mentioned like oh when I first started this story it's been a really big undertaking. I'm setting up the world and everything. And I find myself kind of in that same position where I'm thinking super broadly, but when you mention like, oh, I'm going to set up just this one character with this goal and then there's like he has his own arc and this own kind of line to follow. Does it kind of this gets me thinking like does it when you set that up for more than one character, does that kind of like pan out or how do you figure that out?
Well, the good thing about visual novels, and also the worst thing, is that you can have branching paths. So, like, you have one path focusing on one character, and then
Mhm.
character interactions can be like sorted out, focusing specifically on one character. Like in Sissel's arc, other characters pop in and out, but the focus is mainly on him.
Yeah.
Um, But yeah, if it was for comics, I think you'd need to do a lot more pre-production planning and like sort out notes and whatnot.
Just because it's more of a strict like set, you have an entire page set up with specific panels, and that's just one page. You look at it, and you're kind of done there.
Uh-huh. Um, yeah, that's one, I wouldn't say weakness, but like a thing about comics that you really need to watch out for.
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay, no
I'm
problem.
not very good with
How
advice.
how no that's no I'm learning a lot actually right now because I really wanted to get out there and just part of this podcast and part of its kind of like position in my life is to figure out from other people who have way more experience than me, and I've been learning a lot, so like no matter what it is, like I appreciate it. Thank you. um so
One word of advice that I would give you if you're starting out on your like first big project is like keep scale in mind, like have a end goal in mind. Like you don't want to be like me and be like, oh, I'm just gonna start on this project. Oh, 5 years later, I'm not even finished yet. Like keep it like manageable and small. I think it's better as a creator to have a project and finish it
mhm.
than have several projects finished than like one big project that's just like
like
going and going and going.
like something a
Yeah.
bit smaller and manageable, and then kind of work your way up.
Yeah, you make to learn. So in your first
Mhm.
project, you're gonna run into some issues and then you'll learn from it and you'll be more prepared in your second project, you know?
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, I can see how. Yeah, because I think no matter what, you're gonna like stumble and stuff, and then from the next one, you kind of throw in like what you failed in on the last project, and then refine that.
Yeah, definitely. It's
How
all a learning process.
to kind of back up a bit too, like for people that aren't really into like the VN or the visual novel scene and stuff like that, the only one that I'm really familiar with is Amoris. And well, that's just because I have a lot of friends too. Like when I first got into the fandom, that was one of the big titles, and then followed by like Nekojishi and stuff. Like, what do you think of those?
Mm, I actually haven't played Nekojishi, but I've heard like I heard it's good. The art's great from what I've
Yes,
seen, but from what I've
yes.
heard it's on the I actually don't know, honestly. I can't really judge Nekojishi, but it looks people seem to enjoy it. The characters are fun.
I saw this dude's
Um,
car, and he had this giant decal wrap, not in person, but online. And it was the entire thing was Nekojishi with like all the Bara cats and everything, and the demon cat. It was so funny.
oh yeah, it's got like a really strong core concept, which is great to have for a story. Like cat spirits following you around, which is great.
That's
As
the
for
backbone.
yeah, that's the backbone. Have a good like concept in mind.
Okay.
Like if people ask me what repeat is about, I would have trouble piecing it together. Like, oh, there's time travel, but there's like wishes, there are like guardian angels, and like there are teens with emotional problems. I don't know. Like
Well,
have a
well
one
then
sentence concept.
Well then I'll okay, I'll point this to you then. So like from the concept of the name repeat, like what does that kind of imply? Is that part of the time travel aspect, or how does that lead into the base of the story?
So the thing about visual novels is that there are different routes, and you're probably gonna play it more than one time. So I was like, oh, what if I just make it part of the story where like once you reach the end, the main character is transported via time travel back to the beginning to like
Oh.
learn like go through the other characters' routes, and like there's one big overarching plot about time traveling to all the other characters' stories and all that good jazz.
Oh, that's pretty meta. I like it.
Yeah,
Cuz
but time travel in stories is a mess. Don't do it.
it gets way more complicated and kind of like a big like kind of nest of like interwinding like lines, I guess. I don't know how you would be able to manage that.
A lot of flowcharts.
Oh, smart. So what have you been focusing on recently? Or what's in the development pipeline for you right now?
Right now, I'm switching over to Owen's route. He seems to be a fan favorite. He's the big buff panda.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I'm focused on his route at the moment. But right now, I'm getting a little burnt out on repeat. I've been working on it for the past 5 years. I'm kind of starting pre-production for a second project in the
Ooh.
backline.
Has
something a
this
little more. Huh?
has this been announced yet, or is this you want to keep
No,
this
no, it
undercover?
hasn't. It's just something I'm like chewing on because as an artist, you work on one thing for too long, you just kind of it just kind of hurts to keep banging your head on a brick wall. Right.
Oh, so not
uh,
necessarily burnout, or just kind of just refresh on something new.
it's kind of like burnout, but the way I burn out is if I take a break, I'm even more stressed. So I need something else to go on.
It's like, oh no, I'm on vacation. I should be working. I'm not
Oh
working.
yeah.
That's making me more stressed.
Oh yeah, let me tell you. Like sometimes I go out with friends, go to see a movie, like chill out, hook up with someone. I don't know. I'm just laying there
Yeah.
like, wow, I could have been working right now.
No, that's some real anxiety. Like, cause that's the thing. Like, when I start a new project too, or I have a commission in mind that I've just been commissioned for, like I'm kind of fixated on that for quite some time until I at least get like halfway done with the thing, or at least start, pretty well. So that's always
Mhm.
on my mind.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a balancing act that you really gotta work out as an artist.
Hmm. So how have you, I guess you could say like evolved. I mean, was furry, I mean, getting back to like the entry of furry for you, so was it more of a social thing, or did you find like an art group to like kind of invest yourself in, or how has that changed for you over time?
An art group. I guess I just started posting random art online and it got like, oh, excuse me. Hmm.
You're good.
So sorry, burping. So I just started posting stuff online. I didn't really like get many comments or whatnot, but it was more of a self-fulfillment thing in the beginning because like I just like writing stories. Sometimes when I'm bored or I'm like in a waiting room or like um just commuting, I just write
Yeah.
stories in my head. I'm like, oh, this would be fun. And I guess storytelling has always been a thing that I do. So
Oh,
in the
so
beginning, it was self-fulfillment.
it sounds like just kind of a natural outlet, like, oh, here, I made this thing and I'm gonna post and share it, and whatever happens happens.
Yeah, yeah. Like in the beginning, I only had like 3 followers on Patreon for like several months. I was like, oh, that's fine.
Yeah, right on.
People like
That's
my work. Yeah,
like kudos
yeah.
to the three people. Nice.
Thank you for staying with me that long, y'all. um, but yeah, after a while, I got a bigger audience, and I was like, oh, I have to make sure the stuff I write is actually good. So,
Well, I mean, at least it sounds like I'm gonna like think about this and be more serious about it.
yeah, I definitely think planning things out early is good because after a while, you're like at some point you're gonna be writing to hit a deadline instead of like writing to like for your own personal fulfillment,
Yeah,
which
that's what I'm trying to
people are gonna
balance too.
notice.
Yes.
Oh
Oh, did you have more to say on that, or that's
no,
okay?
no, my brain's flatlining right now.
Oh, you're okay. You're good, dude.
Another swig of coffee.
I know, like, no, I'll drink too, like, this is in back in my caffeine days, I'll drink too much, and then, I also take these pre-workouts for my workout sessions, because I also try to fit in, like, a little bit of bodybuilding throughout the week.
Mhm.
So I'll take a pre-workout, and that's like the equivalent of 6 coffees, and I've already had
Oh
like
damn.
two, so then my brain just literally implodes, and I feel so sick.
I'm like the opposite of my workouts. Like after my workouts, I'm just dead for 2 days.
Oh, do you hit the gym? I didn't know this.
So there's a gym at my college that I go to fairly, I try to go to fairly regularly. It started off like as an artist, you're sitting at a desk all day, so like back pain's a major thing.
Oh
So I
God,
started
yeah,
jogging.
yeah.
Um, and then it was like, oh, I wanna be fit and look good, and like for my AD Twitter. So
No, no, same, same. I totally agree.
oh,
Like
oh yeah.
that is a drive.
Definitely a confidence booster. So I was like, hey, this is motivation to keep working out and be healthy. So yeah, that's the thing I did.
So you're actually in college still. How do you fit in the art, or like the practice for art? Because there's also like a huge warm up period that I feel for most artists when to get going. How do you fit that in?
um, so for me, I'm an animation student, so I'm just doing art like all the damn time. I do mostly 3D, so there's a
Oh, okay.
difference. But I'm I feel like I'm always like warmed up because of all the shit that I have to do.
Oh, so you're
So
thinking about art no matter what then.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's basically all art all the time for me, except for when my uh friends drag me out to see the sunlight.
Oh, yeah. You need to do stuff outside.
But all my friends are like animation students too, so like we're all just suffering together. It's great.
No, yeah, I find out like after I get out of my day job too, like after 8 hours of that. I work in a library, so I don't get in the sun or anything. I'm just indoors all day, and then I go home, and then I'm hitting like, I also work out at home and stuff too. So I'm under a roof, and then I go in my room, and then I'm practicing for a couple hours, and then I'm getting to commissions, and it's like, wow, I had no vitamin D all day.
What is sunlight?
Exactly, and then I live in Hawaii too, which is like the sunniest state,
Oh
and
no.
I don't make good use of it, to be honest. If there's anything about me being ashamed in this state, it's that I don't go to the beach enough and I don't suntan enough.
Oh damn. But you still look good though, so yeah, all's
Oh,
well.
thank you. Yeah, no, a big help is my boyfriend too. He does help get me out there too and do social furry stuff, and then we go hiking and we'll do furry events. That's what I really do like. Do you guys have anything like local fur events or cons in your space?
Oh yeah, so Anthro New England just happened is happening this weekend. So there's
Andrew,
a
New
lot of
England.
fursuit. There's a lot of fursuiters around. They're just like a couple blocks away from my college, so it's great
What?
to
Oh, I'm so jealous.
it's pretty good. Um sorry.
Oh, so you don't even have to get a hotel. If you dorm, if you live in that area, you could just walk down to the convention center or something.
Oh, pretty much, yeah. I only went by like for a couple hours this time though to a friend's birthday party because I have a lot of deadlines to meet this weekend. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's a good fun, like a nice social recharging time, you know?
Yeah, I think like when I'm kind of in this routine, even if I got like a good thing going, like oh wow, I'm getting stuff done, I'm being productive. I feel like no matter what, I think I just have to like either like get a good night's sleep or just be like, you know what, I'm gonna screw around and play video games for like 3 hours straight or like the whole day. You know,
Uh-huh.
you just kind
Yeah, I
of
feel that.
yeah, you just kind of need that like even talking to somebody or like hanging out on Discord. I kind of do live for those moments now because it gets me like away from just work.
Yeah, yeah. You're like people aren't robots. You definitely need like a break every now and then to just recharge yourself.
I know as
Uh,
much as I want to be, as much as I just want to be a full-time artist.
yeah, like you live to like see the moment when your project's done, but like you still gotta live, you know?
Yeah, that's pretty true. Like one thing that I realized after like the well reception of like a couple of like artwork projects that I've done was like, wow. Um okay, I finished that. What do I do now? And then I'm kind of like left just thinking about the next thing. And I'm like, huh, I didn't expect that.
Oh yeah, I saw like the comic you were working on Twitter. It's looking really well.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Okay, so this is actually not to talk too much about myself or anything, but I am working on this new comic. It's got light BDSM themes. It's called Howl and Jasper. I couldn't really think of anything punny. I really wanted to throw a pun in there. Maybe I will later. Um, but like it's got a little bit to do with like collars and stuff and like kind of like this dynamic between like somebody who's in kind of like the BDSM realm showing another person who's been kind of interested and is very shy about it. And that's how I've been like kind of leading to develop my characters from that.
Oh,
I
that's
have
really
this.
cute.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited about it because this is where like I like launched my Patreon and stuff, and then that's where I'm like, okay, I gotta plan this all out. I'm scheduling out my months to take on this load and stuff, and I I have like I started looking more into character development. Like there's this thing called this Big Five, where you're gonna have like intro, conflict resolution, conclusion, or like character setting, problem solution, and mood.
Oh
And I'm
yeah,
like,
definitely. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, okay, so how am I gonna fill up all these slots, and how am I gonna like plan this out? So I got my little moleskin journal here, and I was just kind of like roughing out the outlines. Do you have those kind of like napkin writing moments, or you're just
Oh
trying to figure
yeah.
out stuff?
I remember in the beginning, I wrote on a lot of Dunkin' Donut napkins. I've switched over to an actual notebook now, but like in my early days, I was not very organized. But nowadays, most of my planning is done in Google Docs and also flowcharts.
What do you use for flowcharts? Is that like a
There's
specific?
this there's this website called draw.io, and it connects with your Google Drive account, which is super handy. So like it's
Ooh,
basically Google Docs but for flowcharts, which is very useful. Would recommend.
I'm gonna have to write that down right now. What was it
Mhm.
called? Google.io?
No,
Oh, sorry.
I'll write it on Discord. Let's see. Draw.io.
Oh, thank you. I'm totally gonna use that.
Super good. Planning is good for any project.
Nice. Okay. And something I kind of always ask furries and stuff, when I have a chance to interview them is like, well, how do you fit in kind of the day-to-day lifestyle of like the furry life and your regular life? Do you feel like there's a distinction, or sometimes is it not really different at all?
It's furry stuff into my regular. So here's my daily life these days. So I get up, I go to the animation lab, my school animation lab, work there for like 4 or 5 hours, come back home, eat dinner, and then work on furry art and writing. And then I go out, go to the gym, or like I play Ring Fit Adventures or something, and then I come
Oh,
back
nice.
home and I work some more furry shit, and then maybe some video games, and then I go to bed.
Okay, I mean besides school, I guess yeah, that's not too different from me either. Like beyond like whatever I have to do, it's kind of like synced with either like relax for a bit or go to work. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't see like I don't think there's a hard line between the things I do. So yeah.
Okay, cuz yeah, I think I have met a few furs too that have been very like closeted in a way. Like what do you think about that where like I it may have something to do with like I think independence. Like if you're
Oh
living with
yeah,
family, I mean growing up kind
you
of
gotta
maybe.
hide it.
Yeah, and like has that ever been an issue for you, or what would you have to say on that kind of thing?
So most of my friends are art people, in the animation department. So
Mhm.
most of them are pretty open-minded. There was one time, let me tell you. So I think 2 years ago, one of the seniors in my in the animation department was like, "Hey, Shiro." They didn't call me Shiro, but whatever. They were like, "Hey, I'm working on my capstone project and I need some illustrations for my characters. Do you think you can help me?" And I was like, "Sure. Why did you ask me specifically?" And I looked at our character list and they were all furry characters. And I was like, "Oh, they know." Yeah, most of my friends are pretty open-minded. Like at this point, most of them know I'm a furry.
Mhm.
Uh, I remember we were having a conversation at some point. I was like, "Fucking furries," and then my friend just turned over and was like, "You hypocrite."
Well, I mean that's kind of the thing. That's tradition. You slander your own kind.
Yeah, that's how we live. And I think another um I remember during an internship, I put a lot of like furry stickers on my water bottle and whatnot. And one of my colleagues looked over and was like, "Oh, I like the little crocodile sticker on your water bottle." I looked over, and it's like the bad dragon
Oh,
sticker. I was like, "Yeah, I
that's a
love this cat. I
crocodile.
love this crocodile. It's great."
The red and black one with the grin.
Yeah, very cool.
I think that's so funny. You can get either like a small one or you can get a really big decal. And my boyfriend
Oh
has the
yeah.
big decal slapped on the back of his F-150.
Oh, that's some good shit right there.
Exactly. Oh my god. But I live for the trash. It's cool.
They've got good shit. Um,
Yeah,
am I allowed to talk about this?
Oh yeah. So I mean, sorry, I didn't really do any housekeeping here, but just to let you know, like for the rules, like literally this is just a self-funded podcast, if not like it's also funded in part by Patreon and stuff. So there's no like rules, there's no real like censorship. I wouldn't like that's my biggest gripe. I don't want anybody like being censored to talk about anything they wouldn't, feel comfortable with. So that's how I kind of treat this platform.
Okay, that's good to know. I was worried. Am I allowed to say the fuck word here? It is YouTube, so
Oh, do they ban that now? I don't even know. I'm not too
I, I
familiar.
I don't know. I haven't been keeping up, but I'm sure it's fine. It's YouTube. People swear.
Yeah, it's like I think if you're more of like a big mainstream YouTuber or something, maybe.
Hmm.
But I know. You know what sucked? I actually was. I did this one video, and it's a good thing that I don't really monetize my content on there because I just rely on Patreon and my
Mhm.
own day job and stuff. But if you choose not to monetize or like put ads on your content, I think it's free game as long as it's not like totally porn or something.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, because I use this Bob Ross track, like for his painting videos, and I think I got copyrighted struck, and I was like, what the heck is this?
Oh no,
Yeah,
Bob Ross.
I know they're really like strict, I guess. Whatever who's affiliated with Bob Ross.
Mhm. I know like most YouTubers use Kevin MacLeod soundtracks because they're royalty free. So maybe
Ooh, I
if
should
you're
look
worried
into that.
about that kind of thing, use that.
Yeah, even one thing I did was really awesome was I commissioned my first furry like musician, and
Ooh.
I did like a little. I was like, hey, could you do like a little like 5 to 7 second intro of something that's kind of synthy, like poppy a little bit, like Animal Crossing or something, and like. Oh, he did an amazing job, and I'm gonna start using that for my YouTube videos now.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I love like the podcast with like a little cute little like music thing in the
Jingle,
beginning.
yeah,
Jingle. Yeah,
I really want it to
love
be
that
its like own thing.
jingle. Yeah, I've
So
listened. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
oh, sorry. So I mean, thank you for being like really receptive. But some people oh no, actually, sorry, we went on a big tangent. Getting back to like the Bad Dragon space. I did go to my first con was BLFC, and I did see like they have have you ever been to BLFC by the way?
I haven't. The main ones I've gone to are Anthro New England and AnthroCon.
Okay, okay.
Uh, I, yeah, but my
I'm
friends go to ELFC, so.
I'm not sure how it's set up in those conventions. I bet it's similar though. So we have like some of the main con floors, a game room, a place for artist alley, and then you have the dealer's den. And the
Oh
dealer's
yeah,
den is
yeah,
where,
exactly.
yeah, and even among the dealer's den, there's a little bit of a separation. So you'll have more of the
Uh-huh.
general art, or you'll have like more of the adult.
Mhm.
I think it's similar. Um, so yeah, we had a lot of Bad Dragon stuff and looty stuff in one corner of the con,
Ah,
and
yes, the shadowy place.
you got to get there first, or a lot of the good stuff is taken though.
Yeah. So, from what I can see at AnthroCon, I don't think
Yeah.
there was a Bad Dragon corner, sadly, but there were like a lot of kinky like leather stuff here and there, and like a lot of pup masks and other kinky equipment here and there that people could buy.
Oh, nice.
They were kind of out in the open. They weren't like in a corner or anything, which I'm not sure. Maybe it's different at BLFC. But yeah, I think it's really fun to see like what other people are really into.
Yeah, that's like that's a really good way to like speak about the fandom in general, because I don't know how like I don't know what the term is even like PC or censored or anything like about the community is, especially when like there's like a con board. I would really love to have a staff member that I'd be able to interview sometime, but when they're organizing a con, like I don't know exactly like what they want the face of the con to be, because as far as I was concerned, it's kind of evolved into this like it's for our community. It's like by the furs for the furs, like by the people for the people.
Mhm.
We really fund and like do charities and all these really cool things, but like when it comes to the adult stuff, like I'm not even sure if pump masks are really adult. Like I don't think that they are. Like I don't think they should be censored. If you want to wear it, that's cool, and I have one of my own. I mean, what's your take on that?
Oh, I bought a pup mask recently, and I was so excited to wear it, and I was like, oh wait, I'm blind without my glasses, and I can't wear them.
Oh no.
I was like, there was like that moment of like, oh, heartbreak.
Oh,
I
but can you
was
fit it
devastated.
over? Can you fit it over the snout?
A few people messaged me with like some glasses strategies, so maybe I'll try that out sometime. But yeah, I don't think pop masks are that kinky, honestly. But like, I get where people are coming from, but I'm kind of not on either side, honestly. I'm just like, if they're banned, they're banned. If they're not, they're not. All right, whatever.
That's
Um,
fair. And you know what? They even have like a bit of a wrestler vibe to me. I don't even think that it's like really anything like super lewd, at least for the just the mask.
it's just a mask. Like, it's not that bad. Um, So the thing about from what I can see from my experience at like Anthrocon or whatever, like lewds are welcome, but at the same time they have to acknowledge that hey, there are kids that are coming through. So like
Yes.
any lewd art or whatnot, there's like little like I saw like people put like little post-it notes over the crotch of their like
Oh yeah.
artwork, and like there's like they've got little not safe for work binders that they can put their art in and close when like people they're not showing to like people who are looking for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, I think the furry community is really open to like lewd stuff, but also they gotta. It's still a public place, so they gotta keep it civil, I guess.
Even like body harnesses, I think those are really cool and cute. Like I've even seen a lot of full suiters, and in suit they'll have that over their suit.
Yeah, yeah. I actually saw like a couple of friends of mine like wear those harnesses, and they're actually accepted. Like you're allowed to wear them if you're wearing a fursuit, not if you're wearing nothing. But
Nothing underneath. Yeah.
yeah,
What are
but
you
yeah,
talking about? This is just my hiking gear.
yeah, to secure my body, you know.
To the bed. Okay. So have how many cons have you been to thus far in your furry career?
Freak. I think I've only been to A&E and Anthro, but I've been to A&E every year for the last 3 years, and I've been to Anthrocon twice. Oh wait, I go to Furpocalypse too, which is
Ooh,
like
furpok.
it's in Connecticut. It's a couple hours drive away from here, which is nice. But it happens during midterms here, so I'm
Oh
like, oh
no.
shit.
That is
It's
one
a stress.
thing. Yeah, that is like one thing too. I've heard a lot of furries mention, like even for like MFF when it's taking place at the end of the year. It's also like when big finals are due, and like a lot of people can't make it.
Mhm. Luckily for me, as an animation student, most of our stuff is like project based, so there's no like big midterm exams or whatnot. But they do check in and see how we're doing, and most of the time our projects are behind schedule. So yeah.
Oh, so for your animation, as far as that career path is going on, where does that gonna lead to? Do you plan on like doing Disney work, or like what do you want to do with that?
So these days, so what I focus on in animation is like character animation, 3D modeling, all that good jazz. I kind of want to go into game production or like movies, or actually I'm open to anyone who will hire me at this point.
just
Give me a job, please.
just please, studio. I want to make art for you.
Yes, please, and also a living wage.
Yeah, that's the really tough thing. I mean, you even hear about like this, like that common phrase, a starving artist, but I don't think that should really be the case these days. I
Yeah,
mean,
definitely.
more than ever, you don't have to like. I was reading this old like 1950s like get your career started in art and stuff, and they would talk about like working for Disney or some super big old timey corporation, and it's like with like the advent of the internet and like open free communication for the most part, it's you can really find like your own niche, I think, in the world, and that's what's so encouraging. And I think like if you're thinking about developing an audience or developing your art or just growing and supporting yourself in your own creative field, you should definitely just try it and see what comes of it. I'm sure a lot of people would love to support you, especially in the community.
Hell yeah! Like the furry community is so damn supportive of their artists. I can't express how grateful I am to them.
How did you? So like when you first put out your stories or your first couple of illustrations, like is there anything you finally remember about like the community kind of encouraging you?
So I remember when I first started like putting out updates, monthly updates for my visual novel. There's this one guy, like a wooden bowl or something. Like he always leaves like three long paragraphs of like impressions, thoughts, and feelings about the characters and the
Oh
story
wow.
direction. And it's like it always warms my heart to like read that kind of thing. And like people have been emailing me about like, oh, I really like your visual novel. It really like touched my heart and whatnot. And those are so like heartwarming to me. It's great. I don't reply to all of them because I'm always busy these days, but like I read every single one. It's very touching.
Oh, that's lovely. I mean, especially for like a young and budding artist, right? I think like one of the worst things that could happen maybe is like, you put something out there and then, just
Mhm.
nobody sees it, and that can be kind of heartbreaking too.
Yeah, I definitely experienced that early on, but like I said, art was usually my anti-stress activity. Like I draw to calm down
That's a
and
really good
relax.
point.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's not
So
like, oh, I need, love and affection for this. It's like, no, I love doing it.
hmm uh, although sometimes I see my like doodle sketches that took 5 minutes get like 500 views or whatnot. I'm just like, uh, how does
Y-
the internet work? I don't understand.
I can tell you, little pro tip, just throw in a sheath, instant 100 million likes.
I suck at drawing, so I'm at a disadvantage.
One of these cursed images or something that I didn't want to see was like, those little hot dog things you see at Costco?
Uh-huh.
Or they're like little bite-sized like pigs in a blanket. It's like,
Uh-huh. Oh
oh
no.
no.
Oh, I saw.
I
No.
was like,
I
I
don't even
cannot
like.
unsee this. You don't like hot dogs?
No, I'm sorry. They're kind of gross, not gonna lie.
Wow. I mean, it is only, all the leftovers of pig organs and stuff, so what's not to like?
I know. That's not even that part that disgusts. It doesn't disgust me. I'm just like it just doesn't taste good.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of oily. After I've had like if I want to be a real cheapy person for like lunch or something, I'll go to Costco because I have one like 5 minutes away from my house.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
I well, and then I'll get a couple of hot dogs, and they're like $1.50 each plus drinks. So I have like infinite drinks because I'm gonna be eating there anyway. And I spent like only $3 on two hot dogs, and they're like huge hot dogs, but I eat them, and then I feel so like. Do you ever get that like greased out feeling where it's like I had too
Oh
much?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you just feel heavy all around. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just gonna
But you live
sit.
next to a Costco's, man. Like that's the life.
Oh yeah, how is it for you doing college and then doing like? Do you do groceries or do you eat out? I guess.
The most convenient thing. Okay, we've got like two big convenience stores on campus that we can go to for groceries, but it's super expensive. If I
Hmm.
wanted to go grocery shopping, I have to get on the train for like 20 minutes and go to Chinatown, and that's where I do most of my groceries.
Oh, okay.
Um, but it's a long trek, and I'm tight on time a lot of times. So sometimes I just give in and like shop at a convenience store, which my wallet isn't too happy about. But
Oof. College
it'd be
life.
like that. We don't have a Costco's around here. It's heartbreaking.
Oh yeah, that's pretty rough. I mean, especially like, cause yeah, I love buying stuff in bulk. It's like just buy it once and it lasts for like the whole month.
Yeah, it's so good. I missed having big grocery stores around here. It's sad. Also, everything's just expensive in Boston.
What is yeah? What like? I mean, not to go off too far or anything, but what is like the Boston life like? I don't really know like what is the haps about Boston.
Boston. So the good thing about living on campus is that you got a lot of things right here. We got a lot of restaurants. There's a library, a gym, places to go out and study and meet up with friends, all that good jazz. But also, if you want to go take a trip or whatnot, like traffic is awful, and also the public transport is never on time.
Oh,
So yeah. Honestly, I don't go out much, so I can't really tell you too much about Boston.
I'm
But
sure like I'm sure the weather isn't it like way colder over there? Like I'm sure you
right
guys get
now it
snow,
is.
right? Is snow
You're
a Boston thing?
It's not just a Boston thing. It's like northeast, so it gets pretty cold. In the winter, usually it gets like super snowy and there's slush everywhere, and your shoes get wet the moment you step outside.
Oof.
But not recently though, because then fuck climate change. But
Oh yeah, you're right.
yeah, so we haven't gotten much snow. Just biting cold.
Oof.
Yeah, I was walking to Antwerp, New England yesterday, and like my nose, I couldn't feel my nose when I got there. It was
Oh
just like
no.
kill me.
That's the one thing that I do like though. Like, okay, it's when you get kind of used to like living on the equator, it gets kind of like samey. Like
Yeah.
you can't tell the difference between the air and like the edge of your body because it's all body temperature.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
So you can kind of say, yeah, it's good, it's perfect weather and stuff here, but I love the seasons. I don't know if it's because I haven't had enough of it, but I love seeing fall. I love seeing all of like the crunchy leaves on the floor. I love like spring, winter, summer, like the whole shebang. And
Yeah, it definitely keeps things lively here.
exactly, and then you get your like really cool wardrobes, and you get like these really snazzy coats and
Yes.
everything.
Yeah, sweater weather is my favorite
Uh,
favorite time of year.
that's
Hell
a
yeah.
mood. And then you can actually enjoy like a piping hot cup of hot cocoa, and it's snowing outside, and that's what makes me jelly.
Yeah, yeah, that New England aesthetic really hits home. And also I like the cold because I just don't like sweating, you know? Feels gross.
That's the one argument I always have with people where it's like, oh, do you like the winter or the summer? And it's like, well, in the summer, you can't take off layers of clothes. When you're hot,
Mhm.
you're hot.
Yeah, you just suffer.
Exactly. You just perish.
hmm It be like that sometimes.
Okay, well, getting back to art.
Those tangents, my dude.
A little bit. No, but that's the cool thing I like about the podcast because like when I first introduce people, it's like, hey, I want to interview and chat with you. It's like 5% interview and then it's like 95% just chatting.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. I really like it. But sometimes
Yeah.
I lose track. I was like, what were we talking about? All right, dicks. All right, cool.
Yeah, exactly. And then, just talk about dicks. It's
Mhm.
fine.
Yeah,
How
dicks are
do you
nice, right?
how do you I mean, I don't want to bore you too much with like talking about the business aspect of art, but how do you find like it's a good way to promote yourself? Have you done any, I'm curious, have you done any of the con like panels, or have you had any chair spots like hosting a table or anything?
I've considered that, but uh furry conventions for me have always been like a time to relax and hang out and whatnot. And manning a table would just stress me out. I've thought about hosting a panel because I've seen my friends do it and it looks
Mhm.
doable. But I'm also like, what do I talk about?
I mean,
I've
your
considered doing
work.
like a writing workshop or something like
Ooh.
that. But also I'm not. It'd be me like talking about, oh, here's what not to do, like what I did in it's just gonna be self-deprecating, which I'm sure people want to hear. So,
That's my favorite
uh,
kind of humor.
uh, so yeah, for me, furry conventions is mostly hang out with friends, attend
Yeah,
orgies, that kind of thing. You know?
just the everyday stuff,
Yeah, yeah.
But But that's kind of a good point, actually. I think when I did have a couple of buddies ask me about doing a couple of tables and stuff, it's like, well, I live in Hawaii, and then I have to commute like 2,000 miles to the West Coast to then go and do work. It's like, should
Mm.
I reserve my vacation to work some more? But I guess eventually I do see myself like maybe after like my comics finished and stuff, I really would like to do a physical print. That would like make me happier than anything.
Oh, oh
And
hell yeah!
then,
I know there are a couple websites out there that can definitely help you with that.
ooh, okay, I
Um,
would definitely love a link.
yeah. Uh, I have their business card somewhere. I don't know where I put it. I'll have to dig it up for you.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
The I know one of my big inspirations too. It's like, are you familiar with the artists like Brayburn or No Ghost or
Oh, No Ghost.
oh,
Yeah, he does super good stuff. Like, holy shit, how do you paint?
exactly. That's what I always ask myself every day. But like seeing their work really does like motivate me. It's like, hey, like they did this and they went through the grind. I think I can do this too.
Definitely.
Are there
But
any
like
big visual novel furry artists? I'm not too aware of.
visual novel. So my friend Basket, is that their username? Basket. I just call it Basket.
Okay.
They're the developer for what's it called? Tennis Ace, which I've heard is super good and would recommend. Um, let's see. I think that's the only person I know personally that makes other visual novels.
Oh, is Tennis Ace specifically furry, or is that just
Yeah,
more?
it's furry. It's furry. It's
Oh, okay.
pretty furry.
Check out
And
Tennis
they're
Ace.
hmm it, shout out to Basket for his great writing.
Oh, does he do the art for it too, or is he
I
like
think he commissions the art, I think. I'm not quite sure about the details.
have you ever considered that, or like are you more like in the lines of like I would rather produce like both the art and the writing?
So my production schedule is super chaotic, so I'm like I'd rather go down with the ship myself than drag someone else with me.
Because at least it's all you're doing, I guess.
Yeah, I'm responsible for me. Also, like group projects, there's issues where they're like, oh, the writing's done, but the art isn't, so the update can't go out, and like
Hmm.
sometimes you're waiting on people. And I feel like there's just less control overall, which is what I like about a solo project.
Oh yeah, so you're completely independent. I just wanted to reiterate that.
Oh yeah, I draw the art, I write the writing, and I cry the tears.
Oh God, it's okay. But I appreciate it, and I love seeing all your updates, and even like you even manage a lot of separate commissions too in between.
Oh yeah, I usually like stop commissioning when I'm in full development mode, but sometimes I need a something different to work on, you know?
What is your VN actually available on? Because I know that you do send out updates too.
So the visual novel is available for free on itch.io. And it is everyone on my Patreon gets it 2 weeks ahead in advance. So, and also like my plans, updates. I'm also working on this little side comic that's available up there. And yeah.
Oh, okay, awesome. So, oh crap, I just looked at the clock. That was a really
Oh
fast
damn.
hour. Um, but yeah, I would love to have you on the show again, but thank you for your time. I really appreciate out of your busy schedule that you could come and chat with me and share your story with us.
Hell
Um,
yeah. I'll be happy to come back. This was really fun.
yay. Okay, awesome. So, okay, you heard it here first. You're gonna, yeah, you heard it here first, folks. He's gonna be back on, and I would love to have him as guest again. This has been TreeBark. I've been your host, Theo, and this has been Shirokoi. So I hope you guys go check out his work. He's awesome, and he does an awesome job with his commissions and his comic and his visual novel. Please check him out. Are there any last plugs or anything you'd like to let people know?
uh, what do people usually plug here? Follow my art, maybe
Yeah, wherever
say
they can
hi.
find you, or like what you're gonna be up to.
Mm. So I have a Twitter, I have a Fur Affinity that I haven't touched in a while. You just follow Twitter. That's basically where I am these days.
That's Twitter at Shiro. I get confused. Is it Shirobork or is it Shirokoi?
So the at is Shirokoi, but the name I have on there is Shirobork.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, so go follow Shirobork at Shirokoi, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you
just call
very
me
much.
Shirokoi. It's all good.
And a big shout out to my top dog supporters over on Patreon: Blarg, Hetty, Moody, Damon, and Howler. Without your guys' support, I couldn't do this, so I really appreciate it. If you'd like to support me, follow me on patreon.com/shikokubo, SHIKOKUBO. And to find more content, you can follow my Twitter at Shikokubo.